Are you an entrepreneur or ready to become a boss? Welcome to Hawaii Boss, the business podcast made in Hawaii, where you will hear from island movers and shakers on who they are and their impact on our state. And now, step into the office of your host for Hawaii Boss, David Pettijohn.
Aloha, Hawaii Boss podcast crew listening in out there wherever you do that. You can also watch on YouTube because we've got nice, friendly faces for you to see. Today, we're in the big boss's office of Liliha Healthcare Center, the director of nursing. Her name is Miss Jessica Wills. She's a registered nurse, and she comes with a long list of experience, and we're so glad to have her. And we're in her office today. Miss Jessica Wills, aloha.
Aloha. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to find out what's going on with you because Liliha Healthcare Center is a skilled nursing facility, and some of the most challenging things that have happened that we've heard about in the pandemic have been in these skilled nursing facilities, and some of the challenges that have gone along with you being a nurse throughout all of this. But tell us a little bit about that. Have you, since you were a little girl, some people, they want to be a nurse or they want to be a dentist. Was that kid from Frosty the Snowman? I don't know what it was. He wanted to be a dentist. The elf wanted to be a dentist. But so for you, what led you in this direction?
I really have wanted to be a nurse since I was a child. I grew up as a young child with my mother, of course. And when I was 4 years old, she got a cancer diagnosis. And so she went through chemotherapy 5 separate times, lost her hair and all. And so in the midst of all that, we had lots of nurses coming into the home. So hospice nurses were really what made me want to become a nurse. I got to see not only how they cared for my mother, but how they really went just above and beyond what their actual job duties were. And it touched my heart and made me want to become a nurse. Well,
oh my gosh, that you just kind of went over that like it's sort of, but it's really touching my heart. That's sort of an emotional thing for I can, sort of picture this, a young girl sort of seeing these different nurses coming in and out as your mother, not being well. I assume that would have on anybody at that age a major impact, those folks coming in there. I suppose there were some nice ones that you found and that maybe were mentors to you.
Absolutely, yes.
So then you always, from then on, you decided that's what you wanted to do, or you felt that, there is a, maybe you didn't know how to get there, but you saw that there was this path somehow. So did it take you long to get there, or was it a bit of a circuitous route? Sometimes in our careers we go one way and then we think we want to do this and then other things pull us this way. For you, again, wanting to be this aspiring caregiver, was it right away for you?
It wasn't actually. I took kind of the around path to get to where I'm at today. So I left high school early, went in front of the board, and was allowed to get my GED early. Back in those times, they did not allow it when you weren't 18, so I had to go in front of the board. So I did that, got out of high school early, enrolled in full-time college when I was 17. And then I quickly discovered, having my own apartment, that, wow, I'm going to have to make some money while I'm out here, going to school for these bills.
Yeah.
And so I go out to find myself a part-time job is what I think I'm going to get, to help with the bills.
Right.
And I tell you, I just landed on a place in Florida where the woman was going through a nasty divorce. And she just really needed help. And as a 17-year-old, I applied for the assistant manager position in her store. I got there and we really connected well. She told me the real story about what was going on in her life and just said, I could really use your help. And started out as just being the assistant manager to kind of help with the store. And
now, again, what kind of, so now for maybe we don't know what a store is. For retail folks, I think we're kind of alluding to where this is, but so when you say store, what do you mean?
Yeah, this was a retail clothing store.
Okay.
So did a lot of blue jeans and board shorts and bathing suits, kind of a surfer type style.
Right.
So I come on board with her as her assistant manager, and then before you know it, I'm a buyer. I'm 17 years old. I have no budget. I'm buying $250,000 of this bathing suit, $250,000 of this one. And so that was really where it all started for leadership for me.
Well, yeah, I imagine at 17, and that's the thing is sometimes you're just thrust into situations, you sometimes you'd like this perfect thing. Well, after I get out, I have this plan and this plan and this plan. But if you're ready to work, it sounds like if you just get thrown into something and you're ready to work, especially someone, an owner who maybe doesn't know what to do but needs some extra hands, to just a new owner maybe, and so you jumped right in there, and so then, like you said, the scepter of accountability or whatever, it was passed to you. You could start doing buying. You were purchasing. You basically suddenly you're doing MBA sort of stuff, but at 17, 18 years old. So tell us how that did it get overwhelming quickly, or were you able to sort of keep it together? How does that work?
No, it was wonderful. It really wasn't overwhelming for me, right from the start. I was able to go procure new areas and open up new stores, do some design work, design the art that was on the bags. I mean, I really got to put my hands in quite a few things.
Right.
And then what pulled me away from that company was really just location. I moved. So then I got into some other retail clothing companies, and I had my daughter. And I realized that I would come home and her father would tell me things like, "Oh, she took her first steps today," and I was never there.
Retail is a lot of hours. So you're saying you worked a lot of hours it was a great outlet for your creativity. However, there was it took all of your energy.
All of you, as a person. All that wonderful money you were making, you didn't get to enjoy it one bit.
Right. Yeah,
so
and that's sort of counterintuitive.
Yeah, I just realized, when I was missing everything, I thought, my original dream was to become a nurse. So I really need to get back to that. Whenever I got the opportunity in the retail clothing when I was going to college, I was too immature to think ahead far enough about the fact that, yes, while I was making decent money, if you divided that out per hour, and took the fact that I didn't have any quality of life, I just couldn't see, I wasn't mature enough to see that far in advance.
Right. Yeah, well, we all are that age at one time or another, and our priorities change over time, when we think, and maybe it's a little ill-informed when we're young, maybe we don't know how to do it exactly, so at least you knew you could throw all yourself at something and you were able to accomplish it. I mean, it's not like you wasted those years.
No, that's interesting that you bring up that exact phrase. That's actually part of what got me to where I am today. Whenever I went back to college in my mid-30s for my nursing degree, I felt like I had put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into, the positions I had gained before then.
Right.
And so I thought of a way that I could marry together, the knowledge I had from retail and take that into nursing. And I thought a lot about that, and I didn't really have an answer until we got to clinicals and we did our rotation in the nursing home. And I knew right away that was where I was going to do nursing. And so that's what led me to where I am today. I could take kind of my leadership knowledge and marry that together with my healthcare knowledge and really help the elderly, which I feel passionate about.
Right. It's so meaningful that, there's a lot of different types of nursing you can do, but I guess doing your rotation in a nursing home, there's these these relationships you develop with these folks that have so many stories, and that they have so much, they're sort of forgotten in a lot of ways. It's sort of sad sometimes, that all this value, you recognize that they were my age one time, and they had all this, they had children and they've had families and they've had all this, and I hope that one day as I'm sort of aging and move into that phase where I see these folks, they're sometimes alone and that. So how does in a skilled nursing facility and as a nurse in a facility like that, help them to have that home-like sort of thing, even though maybe they don't get to see their families as much, what's your philosophy on their, I guess, them being the center of the care that's provided?
I think that they have to be the very center of it. And, I really love to work towards bringing everyone to that same thought process where I'm at. Because previously, I don't think they were the center, to be honest with you. And I like the fact that now, that's definitely the direction that it seems to be taking. And I love to back that up.
Sure.
Some ways that I can think of that we do that is definitely through food. A lot of these guys, some of the last things that they really, truly enjoy on a daily basis is what they get to enjoy for food.
Right. Yeah, good hot food and at the right time, and the kind of food that they like. It's not, it's tough to meet everybody's needs, but boy, if having a good, local food is, again, it just, again, a musubi, is also, nice to
Warming.
have. And yeah, it's comforting. Yeah, comfort food and good reminder of home, and then special meals each month that they have. But so but as a nurse coming in, director of nursing, there still needs to be some structure. We all care and everything like that, and we love, but and families want to know, how do we provide, what's I guess families are always, maybe it's the first time that a family has had to deal with this, having their loved one in a nursing home. How do you help them to see maybe we're a little different than a hospital, but what we do on a day-to-day basis for your loved one?
I think that you're right. I think not everyone does know what goes on in the nursing home.
Right.
It's an interesting question to ask people. And a lot of times the answer that you get is that they've never been inside a nursing home, or once, 30 years ago, something like that.
Right.
So they're really not familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
And their most recent experience that they have to draw off of, that they oftentimes will compare, was the amount of time that they maybe just spent in the hospital, their loved one.
Sure.
And so I think that in that case, being compassionate and caring and just taking your time to talk with these people is
Right.
super important. And recognizing, being honest, yeah, you're right. It's not like the hospital here.
Right. And that's sometimes a surprise, but I think as people, we have 24-hour nurses, that's why it's called a skilled nursing facility. But again, the doctors are, obviously on call for us, and we can get responses immediately, obviously. But that's some of the challenges now too, making sure that there's someone who's able to make that call with staffing and things like that. So it's tough to keep a good staff around you, and to build a staff as a leader here at Liliha Healthcare Center. What are some things that you do in your day-to-day to help the staff know that they're loved, but also to help create a culture where people want to stay?
I think that a word that I use a lot is family.
Mm-hmm.
I even talk about it when I do interviews with people.
Mm-hmm.
I tell them, so what do you think about becoming part of the family? After
Right.
I kind of describe everything that goes on.
Right.
And really just living that every day,
Mm-hmm.
From something as simple as knowing people's name when you come in and saying good morning with their name.
Right.
Just like you would with your family, someone you care about,
Right.
treating them like they're really a human that matters.
Right. Yeah, then it doesn't become like an us and them, and we're so distant from each other, management versus, the staff. It's like, well, we're all here together. Each of us has a different role, but we all know each other and we understand each other's needs, and we're and try to understand each other's needs. Each shift has different needs. I mean, trying to find staff for 24/7. You've got nurses, you've got CNAs, and you've got people just there monitoring all the time. But making sure that there's enough in this sort of challenging market, for folks maybe thinking about becoming a CNA. Any thoughts? What type of folks do you think would excel at becoming a nurse's aide or a CNA, and then ultimately maybe a nurse? Who knows? To follow in this career way.
Yeah, I think that it's really important in healthcare that you're a people person, that you really do enjoy talking with people, learning about them. What makes them special? Oh, you always part your hair to the left? Oh, well, that's not everybody does that. Let me make
Right.
sure when I help you in the mornings that we do it on your side, like what you like.
Right.
Just making that like a real person.
Right. Yeah, not just, again, they're not tasks. I'm in room 107A, like that. There's a person, as we're dealing with them each morning. They have certain likes and dislikes and different things. But yeah, so if those types of CNAs, really enjoy making someone else feel special, taking that extra time to know the person, right? Get to know their patients that they work with, but then also know their little idiosyncrasies, just as if the family was there. They're sort of an extension
Just like
of the
a family.
Right. And so
Yep.
then we become a family with the folks, the residents families, and then the staff too. And it's been so hard with COVID. We haven't been able to get together and join like we would normally be able to do, to invite each other and be able to sort of rub elbows and things like that. I guess this may be an opportunity for, as we begin to open up, start to have these sort of events where we have more of this getting together and more of, it's a helpful, a remedy for feeling isolated and just getting to know your family again, right? A reunion
that
almost.
camaraderie.
Right. So, you became a nurse, and then you've been doing that for some time, and you finally, got on path, and you again, from the time you were a little girl, you sort of aligned all of your dreams, and so that's cool. But recently, you're being a nurse has been one of the most challenging fields that there is right now, facing this COVID. So before you come here, I understand you were out traveling and assisting in different facilities throughout the United States, in these different, COVID situations. Tell us about that a little bit and what you saw during the last couple of years.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough to have a few different experiences during this pandemic. Mostly Southern California is where I was working, and I got to see everything from long-term care facility, much like Liliha Healthcare here, all the way to home health and going privately into people's homes. And what I saw, to be honest with you, were a lot of people that were tired. What the pandemic has called for is for those of us that have the skills to come forward and help people. Right. But we need more help than the people that we have that are skilled. Right. So what that has done is it's taken those that, do have the skills and the certifications, and it's really kind of worn them pretty thin, a lot of them,
Right. Enough so where they're maybe just like checking out, right? Taking a little break, like, hey, I can't hold up the world. It's like Atlas, with the world on the back, even though that's the type of compassionate people that nurses are, they would almost kill themselves first before they see someone else suffering, right? And so, and a lot of folks, go beyond that point of burnout, to watch out for that. And so, what are some of the signs? I mean, you can think of, there's still this COVID thing going on. What are some of those signs you look for if you're thinking, that doesn't mean you have to change fields or anything like that from nursing, but maybe how do you take the edge off?
Well, one of the signs I would say that should really, stand out to you if you're in the healthcare profession is if you start to lose your compassion. When you're normally very compassionate and you care to the utmost, almost to a fault, and then you start to see with some folks that they just don't care as much. Well, that's a sign for you, that it's time for you to put you first and maybe have a little break for yourself,
Right. And those are really necessary. I think we've estimated or the need for that kind of recovery, especially that it's been, the last 2 years have been go for everybody, and it doesn't feel like it's letting up, and delayed, vacations and delayed, everybody, who isn't in healthcare sure got to get their vacations in and out, but a lot of the folks who are still working and plodding along trying to make it happen. So I don't know what the answer is for staffing or finding more skilled hands, like you say, but what are some of your initial thoughts as you went through the system as far as becoming a nurse, for someone who's looking at it? What are some of the it sounds like there's great opportunities if you have the degree, but what does it take?
I think that it takes a lot of tenacity. You have to have a good work ethic. You have to be someone who doesn't just look at it as a job. You really have to want to go do that type of work. And then even considering all that, you still need to know when to stand up for yourself and say, you know what, it's time for me to take a week off. Right.
Yeah, you really do have to be able to set your own boundaries. Caregiver folks, the type are like, I'll go, and sometimes companies maybe take advantage. I don't know. I think there's trying to strike a balance as leadership without trying not to overwork your staff, but also meet the needs of the residents. It's really a tightrope to walk, and it really requires sort of a partnership with the staff. Really, I guess not negotiating with them, but like really trying to understand what their needs are, and hopefully that helps them to feel comfortable coming in and adding more folks to the team. What do you think folks are looking for out there right now? Everyone seems like the nurses are churning around and trying to find that place to stop and land, but then there's another place that offers $2 more over here and $2 more over here. What do you think in general? I guess everybody's different, but what's the theme out there, or that you're seeing?
So I can draw off of my experience also from retail before becoming a nurse, and I believe wholeheartedly that people work and stay where they work because of the people.
Right, the relationships.
It's not about the job or what their tasks are, or if they work an 8-hour day as opposed to a 9-hour day. Believe it or not, all of those things get forgiven if they just really feel valued,
right,
feel like a part of the family, and like they really like to come to work. They'll really forgive a lot of things if that's the case, and work hard.
Yeah, I think so too. Again, we give a little, we take a little, we understand their family needs so much that, it's not like they're taking up, but they've got the special occasion. We support that and we say, yes, please go do that. And we recognize what they're trying to express in their lives. And we can, but ultimate flexibility, I think, comes more and more. Like a lot of the scheduling is turning like online and digital and different tools that we have to manage all this stuff. Do you think there's like a gap in nursing between there's some of the nurses that have the skills to be able to work in the digital environment, the electronic medical record versus, is there still like an old school group out there that's still having a hard time transitioning, or we think we're through that, that was a real concern as we headed into all of this, but what do you see now out there? Is it okay for someone who's 50 years old, 55 to get into nursing? You think they'd be able to handle the going and learning that computer stuff?
I do. I believe that wholeheartedly. I've personally been through the nursing program and I know how challenging it is. So if you can make it through all those hoops to make it through the nursing program, you can absolutely learn a user-friendly new piece of, software or something.
Right. Because a lot of the programs at school now are training through the electronic medical record, or it's not the paper, here, pull out a piece of paper. You still have to do that and write 1 million care plans or whatever it is.
Well, that's typed in now.
All typed in, and okay, good. What was your favorite part of nursing school?
Oh, the psychology information, definitely.
Oh yeah,
loved all that. Yeah, yeah. It's really interesting,
Right. Yeah. Well, people, again, if you got to like people, and then psychology helps you to figure out a little bit more about yourself and others. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
Now, what was the worst part of nursing school?
The worst part of nursing school was the time management, just accepting. I always say life's all about attitude and perspective. And so, just gaining that attitude of acceptance that, yes, for the next couple of years, you really cannot plan anything. You cannot go on any trips. You can't enjoy your birthday. There were holidays that I didn't even realize came and went.
Right.
I have photographs of me asleep in my bed with the laptop out and all these books around me that my grandma took, where I just fell asleep working on stuff, So the time management was definitely the hardest. We had the 35-page papers due. We had chapters and chapters of reading due, and you worked 2 12-hour shifts for free. And that was every week, so it was really a lot to keep on top of.
Yeah, and that's not even working a regular job. That's just the demands of, and that's, a lot of people, nursing is demanding. The schooling part is very demanding. But Chaminade, I believe it was you that sent me that there's someone else, Darlene Nakayama sent me from Palolo Chinese Home. She sent me there's a new program at Chaminade. If you have a bachelor's degree, you can do an accelerated BSN. If you have your life sciences stuff, so you can take, it's like 5 semesters or whatever like that, and you can get your BSN again through that rigorous type of, it's heavy clinicals, and but again, you really can't do anything else. Trying to have a regular job during that time, there's no way. So you have to make financial preparations. Sometimes a school loan, people are always anxious about it, but what are your thoughts on school loans for the kids out there?
So that's you would think that you and I prepped for this when we didn't, but it's funny that you said that, because that's actually my main reason why I waited until my mid-30s to actually get my nursing degree. Was I grew up in a rural town in southern Indiana, and I didn't grow up around a lot of money. And to be honest with you, in regular public school, they don't teach you a whole lot about money. No. And so,
how to write the check to pay the electric bill,
right? Right. So I did all these great things to be able to get into college when I was, young and all. And then I started understanding the real world of money as an adult. And I got that opportunity I told you about earlier. And I thought, well, this will pay all my bills, and then I don't need to go to school, So I went and found out when I was 17 about the loans there, and that all just scared me. I couldn't, it sounded like a lot of money. How could I ever pay back $10,000? That seemed just out of this world to me. And so I really backed off, and then in my mid-30s, when I went back, I did have to borrow money to get through school. And so the opportunities, the doors that it has opened for me, I would highly recommend to everyone to go ahead and do those student loans if you need.
Sure. Yeah, especially if you get in as you're younger. Like you said, imagine the difference if you were 18, 19 starting, you would have had your degree at 22, whatever like that, and boom, 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 who knows. But again, we can always look back. But again, giving some advice to these folks out here is a little bit alone now, especially in nursing, and if you have some computer skills, etc., you can get a job pretty much anywhere.
Including Australia, UK, you can really, with an RN license, you can really get a job a lot of places. If you don't ever want to see blood, no problem. You can be an expert witness in court as a nurse. There's just so many avenues.
Yeah, and there's some of them that really get into it, like they get into the wounds and they want to go see, someone or they're in the burn unit or they're ER, they're running around in the ER for things coming. So there's different kinds of things that excite folks, but it's a select few and that go into the long-term care or taking care of our seniors in our kapuna. So where do you see, what are some of the options for folks outside of a nursing home as far as, a place where, where would you like to end up in your senior years and, enjoying the rest of your life? Would it be a nursing home necessarily?
I think actually I probably would be the personality type that would like a nursing home. I would like the activities. I would like the music, having all the fun foods all the time, or at least the type of nursing home that I work in.
Right.
Yeah. So, and Hawaii is, in my opinion, absolute paradise. So I would definitely want it to be here in Hawaii. Right.
Well, again, there are lots of options in the skilled nursing, but I think too, what's happening out there, you see that the insurance companies and different, and the federal government just put out, I think they're in this, some bill, a bunch of money for home-centered types of options, home care and home health types of things so that people can receive care where they're at, which is, they say, is a little bit more expensive than a nursing home. Again, there's some comparisons. They're evaluating maybe in these small care homes, maybe similar care can be provided. So the fear is that there's not going to be, because this wave, what do they call it, the silver tsunami of folks, the baby boomers are now aging into the nursing home age. I said, Mom, there's old, and that's at 75, and then you get to 85, and that's the old, as they taught us in gerontology. She said, I'm not going to make it to 85. I said, well, your mom did, and so, there's this whole wave of folks that are going to have to experience a higher level of care. And, what does that look like for everybody? Do we have enough beds to do that? So there's some thoughts out there, enough caregivers to provide all that, those services out there for
No, we definitely do not. It was talked about whenever I went to nursing school, actually, and we really dove into the topic, and we said, well, what's the problem? Are there not enough people wanting to go to school? Are there not enough, no, there's not enough actually nursing professors is what it comes down to. They actually need more professors.
Right.
Teach nursing. And then we'll have those hands out there that could really help out in home care or long-term care facilities, whatever it might be.
So
I think that both options are great. You have some personalities that really would like to be just at home, more private.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have folks like me who are super social, and I think I would enjoy more of the nursing home feel where you have your other people that you're social with.
Right, and there's some places that take that into mind, that seniors, their nest is empty and it's been for a while. They don't really want to own property necessarily, so they're like, okay, all my resources are kind of taken care of over here. And some people get like a long-term care insurance that they're using or whatever, but it's they'll be in a place like the Kahala Nui is a place that it's called a continuing care retirement community, where it has independent living in one area. It has, I think there's another one in sorry, it's oh gosh.
It's out near Hauula, right?
Yeah, well, there's one out there, but that had to close down, that assisted living facility, because there were some care concerns out there.
Not enough staff.
Right, really not enough staff, and they were having challenges with that. And then Kalakaua Gardens is another place that has this multi-level of care. So some people they just want to kind of go someplace and then not have to worry about stuff, and they can age in place. That's one thing to do too. But again, a lot of places are finding solutions where people can, in their own homes, begin to receive the care that they need. There's so much technology now where the doctors can make a doctor visit by getting on the FaceTime or a Zoom call, and they have like assessment tools that the patient is holding on to while the doctor is visiting with them, and you get a good assessment of then if you took them out, and you don't have to find parking.
Yep.
So there's lots of
and you can do it again in an hour if you'd like, rather than another appointment.
Right. It's made the doctors so much more accessible. There's this idea of people, coming into the office and you get a chance to really, someone talks to you, but you really only sit with the doc for about 3 or 4 or 5 minutes.
That's right.
And that's a long visit. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's different. The remoteness has created some great opportunities for us, and even for the skilled nursing facility to communicate with families and have them visit and come in. But we're still welcoming them in now. Because it's really important psychosocially that the families are able to come in. We really learned a lesson, I think, during the pandemic, and maybe you saw some of the psychosocial, challenges that took place. What's it like to be isolated? How I imagine, you saw some of the heartbreak of families not being able to meet with their loved ones. Were folks, you became their only resource of comfort, the nurses who were there in the facility?
Yeah, it was really tough on the people in long-term care facilities.
Mm-hmm.
You had families coming up to the windows sometimes if there was a window nearby.
Mm-hmm.
But it was also really hard on the people that were at home. When I went and did like home health visits,
right.
There were times when, yes, perhaps the husband, the wife, and maybe 2 children, mm-hmm. and maybe a grandmother all live in the house together, but they're having to isolate from one another. COVID's running through the house.
Right.
They haven't really spent time together for, say, 3 months because they've all been isolating from one another. It all presented its own challenges for sure.
Yeah, we were all upside down for the last 2 years trying to figure this out, with schools. And then if some of these families, like, again, trying to self-isolate, and then they've got younger, especially in Hawaii, there's multi-generational, families in a house, and some of them going to school, and grandma's the one that needs to take them to school. And so there's all these, different challenges that occur here in Hawaii. But what, you can go and be a nurse anywhere, you said. Why did you choose, why Hawaii? Maybe there's a nice beach behind me that might tell us a little bit, but what about it? What makes you make Hawaii your desired location for now?
So it literally was a dream of mine for many, many years. I mentioned that I grew up in rural Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I, fell in love with books from an early age. They could transport me from rural Indiana to these other places that I read about in books.
Right.
And I read about Hawaii, and it just always seemed like my idea of the ultimate paradise.
Right.
So in my mid-30s, I actually became a widow. And throughout that whole experience and really looking inside myself and deciding what was really important to me and what I wanted to do next, I thought, I've always dreamt of being in Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
So that's what I did. I decided that that was going to be my next goal. And I just worked and worked until I got here.
Uh-huh. And we are so glad you did. I don't know if someone was living right or whatever, but you've made it over here to these great shores of Hawaii, and now as the director of nursing of Liliha Healthcare Center, I'm me as the administrator there, and but also from the rest of the team, we're very happy that you're here with us.
Thank you.
And I had to step out of Hawaii boss character there for a minute and let everybody know that this is what I do for my day job. But Jessica certainly complements what we're trying to do there. But we're always trying to find out a little bit more about our guests. So as we kind of, it's early in the week, but as we call it sort of pauhana, and tell us, if you're not at work, trying to make it best for the residents over there, where do we find Jessica Wills on the weekend or after hours?
If I'm not at work, then you'll probably find me on a beach. Uh-huh. I check the surf report all the time. And so if the waves are big, I'm probably on the North Shore.
No way.
Yeah.
So it's a lovely island, and there's so many places to be. So along the North Shore, is there certain places you like to go, or?
There is a hike, Crouching Lion, over near North Shore. So that's oftentimes that'll be the start of my journey. I'll take off and do that. It's a short but steep hike, and then kind of leave from there and go over and watch people jump off the rock at Waimea. I have kind of a little route I do.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
then I go, okay. Yep, okay.
Right. So you got a tour that you do, a little self-tour every time you go there.
I do.
Okay. Yeah, and that's what's so nice about Oahu is that you can go. Like this weekend, I'm gonna go trip in that area over there. I'm gonna go check that out, and then you can explore, and then the next weekend you go somewhere else and check it out. But you can go to the same place you love every time, and you're still gonna have a good time. But this winter has been exceptionally chilly over here, a little bit cold, huh?
Just can barely stand it, right?
I know, yeah. Well, it's tough. It's tough. But again, we are just so thankful that you were able to come on, share a little bit about what you do, your leadership abilities, and also talking a little bit about Liliha Healthcare Center and yourself. We're excited to see all of the great things. Sounds like after your arrival, there was a survey that happened, and it sounds like there was some great results there, and so exciting for you and your nursing team as well, and just moving on up to the future here. And again, thank you. And until next time, Jessica, aloha.
Aloha. Thank you so much for having me on. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Make sure to subscribe to Hawaii Boss and follow us on social media at Hawaii Boss Podcast at the links in the description. We'll see you soon in the boss's office.